Okay.
Big screen.
We are recording.
It's just like going to be a few of them.
There, I muted our guest. Okay. Welcome to the September 24th joint board meeting for the Western Lane Ambulance District, Siuslaw Valley Fire and Rescue, and the Western Lane Fire and EMS Authority. Holly, can you take roll call for us, please?
Yes. Director Yesney.
Here.
Director Russell.
Here.
Director Farnsworth.
Here.
Director Webb.
Here.
Director Murphy.
Here.
Director Green. Director Hickson. Director Burns.
Here.
Director Polisi.
Here.
Director Spade. Okay. And then for WAFIA, same. Director Russell.
Here.
Director Murphy.
Here.
Director Polisi.
Yes.
And Director Spade.
Okay, we have a quorum for Western Lane Ambulance District and for Western Lane Fire and EMS Authority. No quorum for SVFR. So just remember that. Tonight's meeting represents our first attempt at using a consent agenda. We're hoping that this will help streamline the meetings a little bit, but without limiting discussion on any item a board member wants to discuss. So it's important for everyone to remember that if you want to discuss something that's in the consent agenda, all you have to do is request to take it out, and we will do that. But hopefully, Chief, yes?
Can we have a Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah.
Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you, John.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag.
To the flag
of the
of the United States of America
and to
and
the
the
republic
Republic
for which it stands,
one nation under God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for all.
I was really trying to streamline this meeting, John, but thank you.
I know it, Chief.
So we're going to do the consent agenda. We did take the financial reports out of the consent agenda. Sometimes you do see standard financial reports in there. But we took it out, decided to keep that as a regular discussion item.
Chief, sorry, did you ask for public comment? I'm sorry. Thanks.
Are there any public comments? It's like I've never done this before.
They never do all that stuff in admin meetings.
Yeah. Hearing none, I think we'll go on to consent agenda. Okay. So does any board member wish to move any item from the consent agenda to the regular discussion?
So, Chief, as a matter of protocol, I have a couple of questions, but I wouldn't pull things out, I guess. I mean, I just have a couple of questions on a few things in there. Do we need to pull those out, or can we just ask?
No, you got to pull them out. The intent is that you ask those questions beforehand, and then we'll get those answers out to everybody. It's not a problem to pull something out, Rick.
Okay, I don't need to pull them out then. I can get a hold of you later.
Okay. So then the consent agenda consists, does anybody else want to pull anything out?
Thank you.
Okay, the consent agenda consists of the meeting minutes, special meetings on the August 6th, August 13th, August 20th, and the minutes from the regular meeting on August 27th, staff reports from the chief, the operations chief, and the office manager, the fiscal year 2021 meeting schedule, the description of the SDIS safety and security grant for SVFR. There's a thank you letter there. And then just an announcement about the regular meeting, our next board meeting, October 22nd. So are there any objections to the consent agenda? So hearing none, the consent agenda is adopted. So we don't have to do all those roll call votes. So hopefully everybody likes that format. If you don't, let me know. We can certainly modify it.
Nice
so
picture, Rick.
What's that?
Nice picture, Rick.
Yeah. He's probably eating dinner. So we're going to go to the financial reports. Like I said, Dina is not out or not here today. She is out. She's out fishing up in Alaska. But are
Good
there
for her.
any questions that Holly and I can answer about the financial reports?
I just had one question, and that was a board discussion about including the PERS liability on the balance sheet.
Yeah, we've been working with Rick on that, and he sent us a spreadsheet that I think fits exactly what you wanted to see, Larry.
Okay.
I was just going to wait until Dina gets back, so I can send that to you though ahead of time. It's in an Excel spreadsheet. I was hoping we could put it into QuickBooks. I'm not sure that we can do that. We may just have to keep it Excel.
One suggestion, Chief.
Yeah.
That if we are going to have Larry and Rick continue to work on this PERS thing, I think the board should appoint them to a PERS committee. Other than that, I want all board members involved.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't know that we need a committee, but we'll certainly send the spreadsheet to all. I don't know, Rick, did you want to say anything about it?
I think it's just a balance sheet entry that won't spur discussion. It's just putting some numbers on the balance sheet to reflect the liability from PERS. So it isn't something, it would, and I agree with what Director Farnsworth is trying to do, actually. It would end up showing a liability on the balance sheet and let us at least.
But we're missing my point, folks. The board has not authorized or appointed board members to meet with the chief or email to talk about this.
Okay.
They're acting on their own and their behalf. I just want it all to be above board and transparent to the public.
Sure. So, okay. Yeah, we can, Dean and I will get together and review that, and then we'll send it out to all the board members to get comments on, and we can handle it that way.
Thank you.
Chief, I'm sorry. Ron Green, his link wasn't working. I sent him the link to the meeting, and he says he's waiting for the host to let me in.
No, I'm in now.
Oh, yeah.
There he is.
He's right beside you, Rick.
There we go. Great.
He's right beside you, at least on my computer. Okay, so SCFR now does have a quorum. Thanks, Ron, for coming. You look miserable, but thanks for coming anyway. Monthly any other questions on the monthly financials?
I had a question, but it's just nuts and bolts, and I can check with Dina when she gets back.
Okay. Boy, this is going quick. So there is no old business or new business on the agenda, unless anybody can recall anything that should be there.
What is the decision at this point, or the point of view at this point about looking into the levy and the vote on it and the preliminary work that we have to do before we go in for the levy?
Yeah, I'm in discussions right now with Liz Loomis. She's communications expert. She does things very similar to the group that did it last time for Western Lane. I think we need to, but they're no longer in business. And I have worked with Liz, and both agencies here have worked with Liz. So she's a known commodity. We're going to bring her on board. I have had discussions with her. Do we do it in May, or do we wait until November? She thinks it's a little late to go for the May election. I want to have discussions with that, and we can certainly, I'll have her attend maybe the next board meeting. We can talk about that. And plus, while we're having labor negotiations, it makes it a little bit more difficult to do that as well. So we are planning for, at the latest would be November. We go for the November election to renew the operating levy. But with the outside chance that we may go for May, depending on how everything works out over the next month or so.
So is there any board member that's in on this discussions that you're having with this woman?
Not yet. We haven't signed a contract with her. She's not on board yet. We were just waiting to see how negotiations went. and then key off of that for when we wanted to go to the public for the operating levy. Certainly any board member that wants to be involved, just let me know, and we'll certainly put you, I think all board members will be involved, but if we want to have a committee, then we can certainly establish that.
Yeah, I'd like to hear the pros and the cons of November or May and let the board make a decision.
But let me see if she's available for our next board meeting.
And while you mentioned negotiations, Chief, under old business, I'll throw it in there. When do you expect we'll have a new update on how that's doing?
Tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Sorry, John, what were you referring to?
Pardon me?
What were you referring to on how it's going?
The negotiations. We haven't had enough in quite a while.
Okay, right.
I've got an update. I was going to contact board members individually, so we're not getting into a group discussion or anything. But that'll be sent out probably first thing in the morning.
Thanks, Chief.
And then if there are any questions, you know, all I got to do is call. Okay. Are there any director comments?
Yes.
Jim Polisi.
Well, good evening, everybody. And hello, I hope everyone's happy, healthy, and we get through this. Chief, with the recent major incidents that have happened in Oregon, numerous fire departments have lost tons of equipment, not only personal homes and businesses and property, but the fire departments themselves. Has the Oregon Fire Chiefs Association put together any kind of pool to where we can donate equipment that we're going to shelve anyhow, whether it be fixed stock or rolling stock, and get it to those agencies?
Yeah, both the State Fire Marshal and the Lane County Fire Defense Board are working on that. Yeah, we're watching that very closely. You know, we could, especially now that the rains are starting, we could lend one of our water tenders to an agency that needed that, one that we were going to surplus anyway. So I think it's absolutely anything we can do to help our neighbors. We're all in favor of that.
Okay. And then I have a question about the recent incidents in Mapleton, which are very concerning to our staff. Would you please let all the directors know this?
Sure. Yeah, we responded 3 times on Tuesday out to Mapleton. First 2 in the morning for car fire. The first car fire was about 8 o'clock in the morning. We responded. Mapleton engine was on scene, but their engine was not working. It couldn't pump. So we had to put the fire out, which was fine. We were called back about an hour later, or 2 hours later. The same car had reignited, which is not unusual. It does happen. So we responded back out there, and we got out there. There was a single Mapleton firefighter who drove. He wasn't qualified to drive an engine, so he drove himself, and he was using a bucket and getting water out of the river to put the fire out, which I commend him for being resourceful, but again, not safe. But then the big issue was that night, about 10 o'clock, we responded out there on a report of a structure fire. We're on an automatic aid basis with them. So if they have a motor vehicle accident, any kind of fire, we are toned automatically. So we go out there. So we sent an engine and a tender and the duty chief out there. And prior to our arrival, they had 3 firefighters respond on an engine, got to the scene. They were about 5 minutes ahead of us. And what happened was they only had 1 firefighter that was qualified to wear an SCBA. That firefighter put an SCBA on, entered the house with a hose line. That's that's a major violation of state and federal laws.
Mhm.
And then later on, we tried to assist them by pumping water to their engine. We couldn't get their supply hose out of their hose bed. It was stuck. It had been loaded improperly. And then my duty chief, who responded, went to their incident commander, who was also the driver operator, and said that he could take command, and this was denied. It was their jurisdiction. I respect that, but I think I would have done it a little bit differently, but that's fine. So I wrote a letter to the fire chief, Charlie Patterson. I'm hoping that he will respond to me. I offered to work with his officers and my officers, get together and figure out what we need to do to make sure everybody's safe on scene and that we can work together. So very disturbing incident. Not only that they acted like that, violated many safety regulations, but we've been going out to Mapleton a lot. And these are SVFR tax dollars that are going to support Mapleton Fire. And on an occasional basis, absolutely. We will help our neighbors. We will always help our neighbors. But I also told Chief Patterson, we have to look at how we're providing aid and what aid we provide. So I just sent that letter to him today. So we'll see. Hopefully he'll get back to me and we can have some fruitful discussions.
Chief?
Yes.
Is there any chance you can set up a meeting between our board and their board to get this resolved? Because this is not acceptable at all.
Yeah,
we are not going to put our people in harm's way when we have unqualified personnel on scene of an incident and we are providing automatic aid. Number one, automatic aid is great, but are they paying us for that automatic aid? Because it's not reciprocal.
No.
Number two, if their safety standards don't meet minimum OSHA standards, then they shouldn't even be in the business of providing emergency response on fires. It's not the old days of going out there with the pickup truck.
Yeah.
And if their equipment is not functioning, are we going to put our people at risk, which causes us an undue hardship to the community if one of our paid people gets injured or worse?
No,
are they going to,
right.
I mean, is that fire district going to give us those funds if our people get hurt? No, they're not. And then we have to absorb that hit. So I would really like this dealt with and dealt with immediately. And if their people are not qualified, Chief, I really think hard that we should revisit this automatic aid agreement. It puts our people at risk.
I agree 100% with you, Jim, and that's why I was giving the chief the benefit of the doubt to set things right. I'm hopeful. I think realistically, he's never contacted us in the past. So I'm hopeful that this time is different, but I'm not going to take a lot of time before I do contact the board president and
got it. Thank you.
Get some discussion going.
I think this predates Chief Schick and
oh yeah, I'm sure it does.
It goes back a decade. It's the challenge.
Yeah. I was warned.
Mm-hmm.
And I did attend one Mapleton board meeting as a Western Lane ambulance representative, and their board president wanted to come to our board meeting. So, but I'm surprised he never showed up. But I think I'll reach out to him and encourage him to do that. Yes, Mr. Burns.
Thank you, Chief. I would echo to the point of what Mr. Polisi said. My biggest issue is the OSHA safety, and I would certainly urge that our president, Ned Hickson, reach out to their president and get this resolved. It should not be between chiefs. It should be between the boards. It's putting you at an unfair advantage, Chief Schick.
I did copy Ned on that letter, so
it has to come between the Siuslaw Valley Fire and Rescue president and their president.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll talk to Ned. Okay, other director comments?
I had,
Thank
Chief, I just think you guys did an outstanding job on that Mapleton fire. Yeah, it could have gotten a whole lot worse than it did. And the response from SVFR and Western Lane Ambulance on that was critical. So my hats are off to you. That was really extraordinary.
Are you talking about the Sweet Creek fire?
That's
Mike?
the one. That's the one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I constantly patting Matt House on the back. He did a fantastic job. I mean, people have to realize that without those decisions that Matt made in the first 30 minutes, that would not have been a 300-acre fire. It would have been a 3,000 or 30,000-acre fire. So Matt did. Sorry, Matt, you'll get a little bit color in your face now when you start blushing. But Matt did a fantastic job. Yeah, he did everything exactly right and kept that fire to 300 acres. So very proud of not only Matt, but everybody that went out there.
You should be.
I wonder, Chief, about a public education campaign for our citizens, because most of us have assumed some degree of invulnerability out here on this coast. And with an east wind like they had just the week following Sweet Creek and Mapleton, yes, we would be extremely vulnerable to those kinds of events. And I'm not sure our citizens even know how to react or where to go. And having Highway 101 become completely gridlocked would be an issue, as we heard up the coast. So I wonder if we have anything we can do with the public to help them understand what resources are available and what their best course of action is. You know, yeah, since we don't have a lot of arterials, and the ones we have need to be kept open for assets.
Yeah, that's really under the umbrella of Western Lane Emergency Operations Group, WELOG, and we talked about that specifically because we did have some questions from citizens, and it's sort of a little bit more difficult than tsunami. You know which way the tsunami is coming from. You don't know which way a wildland fire is going to come, so you can't say go north, go south, go east. But I think those are the possibilities for us. So we only have 3. So I think we are working at that at the WELOG level. We're just putting together our emergency operations plan right now. I just happened to look at the WELOG webpage. It hasn't been updated since 2015. So I think we got to get more active, and I think that kind of information would be great on there. And then how are people notified to evacuate? We had a lot of questions about that. So,
well, Chief,
yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up, because number one, I've been through a Santa Ana wind event a few times in my career, and that was definitely a Santa Ana wind event. There was no doubt in my mind that night when those winds came through at 9:30 at night and it was blowing and the temperature on the coast was 81 degrees and the relative humidity was 17% and the winds were at 21 gusting to 40. I was like, wait a minute, something's not right here.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, been there, done that. Lo and behold, on one of our local news stations, KEZI, they were running a emergency broadcast, and somebody needs to get in touch with them. I don't know who it is, but when they do these alerts, they put it through over the TV as this is a test of the civil emergency response, but then they give emergency evacuation notices, whether it be level 1, level 2, or level 3. Somebody needs to correct that, because it's not a test. They're telling people, hey, pack your belongings and get ready to go, or forget your belongings, get in your car and go. So there's some kind of misinformation there.
It also goes so fast you can't read it.
Yeah, thank you, Cindy.
Yes.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
I'll contact Patience Willingham, the county emergency manager.
Please do so. Thank you.
Sure.
But hats off to our crews.
Oh, they're awesome. They're good people.
Yeah, and then
hardworking.
we staffed up to 2 tenders that entire week out there for ODF. So it was a lot of people got a chance to go out there, and they actually did use them quite a bit. And
our EMS people
for that.
Our paramedics were out there too, I understand.
Yeah, initially ODF has an agreement with AMR. So it's just, we were there the first night, and I think into the morning, I think is when they came, or as soon as AMR came on scene. But by contract, standby is by AMR. Of course, transports are still under the authority of Western Lane Ambulance District, but AMR was there just for standby.
And do they take care of our paramedics? Do they make sure that they're fed and taken care of, or are they put on the sideline?
We fed everybody Sunday night.
Okay, good.
In fact, thanks to Lori Severance, she went out and got 100 hamburgers from.
Oh, beautiful.
And then their incident management team took over the next day, and they had plenty of food.
And the Mapleton Food Bank stepped up as well, and they were feeding firefighters.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a few things. What's that?
I'm sorry. Did we have any damage to equipment or injuries or anything?
We did have water. People? Yeah, we had no injuries. We had a water pump go out, and we had a
water tender 608.
What's that?
Water tender 608's transmission needs to be repaired.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one we were going to surplus, so we're still discussing
right.
It or just sell it as is. And, yeah. But ODF pays for the tenders to be there and for the firefighters. So we're expecting a pretty good chunk of money for that. And they got fed the entire time. So
okay.
That was good.
I saw Mapleton was dragging one of their quick attack vehicles out of the ditch. I don't know how they drove it down where they drove it, but
we're not sure how that happened. We did hear that happened, and I'm not going to wish ill on anybody. I feel sorry for them. They were trying to help, but yeah, they got in the wrong situation, I think.
That's not good.
Yeah.
You don't need an incident within the incident.
And we did find, we had some issues right at the beginning with talking to ODF. We weren't sure we had the right frequencies and what frequency we should be on. We had no idea where their command post was. We started staging for structure protection units, which was not known to ODF personnel. So we've been talking to the ODF people, their leaders, just to make sure that we can all talk to each other, that we're working together. They are very appreciative of what we did for them, and they want to do this with us. So
good.
I'm looking forward to having some better interaction with them.
Well, it was really nice to see their helicopters staged over at the airport.
Very much.
Yeah, I was very impressed the way that they had lined them all up. And I was like, wow, I feel really comfortable knowing that we got air support on the coast.
Well, they were a little, I did talk to them about that. They were a little surprised with the marine layer that tends to move in. They weren't anticipating that for whatever reason, but it was much better than where they were keeping them. So, and the other air assets we got there on Sunday night, it was incredible. I have never seen that many air assets on this size of fire before, which was nice. Okay, other director comments? You're muted, John.
Glad to know that I was 7 minutes late and you were 90% through the agenda when I joined, so good job.
Yeah. John, you're muted. Are you saying something?
Yeah.
There you go.
Fellow directors, I had a conversation with the chief about our board meetings, and we have 3 boards meeting at once. It's a little difficult to communicate. If there is a Stanislaus Valley Fire item and a Western Lane Ambulance board member speaks, that is not protocol and not right. that we really have no vehicle for board members to communicate during a board meeting. When SVI, Siuslaw Valley, is talking, Western Lane Board are just public. So I've asked the chief to check in about, is it possible for Western Lane Ambulance Board and Siuslaw Valley Board to pass a resolution to have the WFIA board act on our behalf, and we have a 10-person board so we can communicate about everything in a board meeting. Just asked him to check on it to let you know that.
Thank you.
Yeah, as I say, okay, you can set the number of directors, I think, at any number you want for WFIA.
But it just sometimes it's hard to communicate in our 3 board meetings.
Well, and from my standpoint, John, if we change the WFIA board, it's going to either remain the same or change it to everyone.
Everyone is what
5 and 5.
Yeah, I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll look into it.
Thank you.
Any other director comments?
Chief?
Yes.
Earlier, when a few moments ago, you were talking about AMR.
Yes. I'm sorry.
I've always wanted people to talk about what do those initials stand for?
Is it American Medical Response?
Yes.
Yes.
Because whether I know it or Director Yesney or Director Green, there's public and there's the information, the record. I always ask the point is, what do those stand for?
Yes, that's a good point.
Rick's a smart man. I'd never want to run against him in an election. He will win hands down. There's no question about that.
I will put that in my board definitions list.
And Rick Yesney ran for governor of Oregon. He'd be elected quick.
Why would you wish that on him?
Yeah, you're killing me, Alan.
Yeah. Rick? You could do no wrong, Rick.
Put your halo on, Rick.
Yep.
Okay, any other director comments? Is there a motion to adjourn? Ron,
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Director Farnsworth. Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Have a good night.
Jim.
Feel
Good
better,
night,
Matt.
everyone.
Yeah.
Feel better.